Hey y'all, thanks for turning into Musicians and Makers podcast. We're dedicated to interviewing and promoting artists and musicians across a broad spectrum of genres and mediums. My name is Josh, and I'm joined with my co-host Steve. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, how's it going?
Awesome, great. And also we're here with John and Megan of Foxtails from Waterbury, Connecticut. How we doing?
Good, how are you?
Awesome, thank you for being here. So we all just heard I Experience Ego Death on a Scram Cave thread off the album, and you'll have to pronounce it for me. I'd hate to get this wrong.
It's Querida Hija.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. So yeah, I mean, what an awesome song. I mean, I really appreciate just even that whole album, the way that you guys go from like all these like low points and these beautiful harmonics to such like a just chaotic sound and these shrills and screams. You know, it's for me, listening to your whole discography, it's just wonderful to see the progression. And I love hearing all those instruments now that I just hadn't heard in those past albums. Who's playing the saxophone and all these different instruments that are going on?
Our friend Paul Buzel.
Cool.
Nice.
He's a fantastic multi-instrument that drives cars.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
What's wrong with that?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I noticed that was recorded at Dead Air Studios. I've recorded there a couple times myself. That's with Will Killingsworth of Orchid. If anyone's familiar, from Massachusetts. How was that experience for you?
Oh, he is such a wonderful guy. He's literally the sweetest person I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And every time that we go to record, it's always going to be him. If like we have the funds and we're able to, it's always him.
Yeah, I love it. I love his little cat signs going up to the bathroom, and just like he's just such a kind soul. And I just, there's something about like recording, and I'll kind of like do something and I feel like maybe I got it right, and I'm like, what do you think? And he just like has a look on his face and he just lets you do it. You know what I mean? I love that. I just love that it's all about you and how it turns out for you. Really awesome. So why the name Foxtails?
Oh, that's really funny. So what we formed when I was 15, when I was 15. And we used to be really into like indie because, we were kids. So like we were listening to like Block Party, and we were listening to at the time the Strokes and like stuff like that. So I was, like 15-year-old me was just like, okay, you know what? The best indie band name would be? And it had to be something with foxes. So I was like, Foxtails. And pretty much nobody questioned me, so we stuck with it.
Nice. Yeah, I love the name. Definitely. It's super cool. And, I hear a lot of that indie references. Some of the really twinkly instrumental guitar. That's some beautiful work. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
So you all grew up in Waterbury, or do we kind of like come together at some point?
Well, we actually all went to the same high school. So we all went to the Regional Center for the Arts, which is located in Trumbull. We're all we used to be based in Fairfield County. Me and John moved out into Waterbury a little while ago. Mike lives in Trumbull as well. I used to be originally from Bridgeport, and John is originally from Monroe. So we were the school itself grabbed a lot of people from different districts of Fairfield County, and everybody was pretty much like able to hop on a bus and go to the school. So we pretty much met because we were all music majors. And so we just pretty much started playing music together and haven't stopped since, pretty much.
Wow. So you're all music majors out there. I can imagine the scene must be a little exciting.
We weren't really accepted by the other. I mean, some people liked us, but they were just like, ew.
We were kind of always like, we always just like had a history of being the odd ones out, like always being like kind of like the really extra weird kids in the group. So we kind of like stuck out like a sore thumb pretty much everywhere we played, because a lot of times, for my there was a senior showcase in RCA, and I had Foxtails perform, and it was like definitely like everybody was like, whoa, like what is this? I have no and then when we were playing shows out in other venues in Connecticut, we were playing indie shows, we were playing like singer-songwriter shows, but we were also playing hardcore shows, we were playing like noise shows sometimes, but like it doesn't matter, because in all of those shows we just like did not fit any of those genres. So it was always just really weird. So people were always just like, oh, like who is this? That definitely, why is there a singer-songwriter show and this like person screaming here in the middle of the cafe? So
yeah. And we don't, in Connecticut, we don't really play many hardcore bands unless they're touring. Because in Western Connecticut, it's like no one is hardcore. Everyone is in Eastern Connecticut, but no one interacts with each other on these.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've only played in Eastern Connecticut like once, but we've played in Canada.
Yeah.
So it's just, we just don't go there. But that is where the hardcore people are.
That's where like most of the heavier music is. It's like northeast Connecticut around there.
Yeah, I found that myself too. I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, and we have an awesome local scene, but I don't know if it truly supports like what I've been doing. So I've played elsewhere, and actually to speak to that in Canada, I was playing New Friends Fest with y'all last year, and that was such a wonderful set and such a beautiful time. What'd you think of that experience?
Oh my God, I miss New Friends Fest. So like I think about for probably like several months afterwards, I was just like, oh, I miss Canada. I miss smoking weed in the middle of the street and not having to worry about oh my God, I miss being at this show with all these people who are so into the music, because I think that was my favorite part about New Friends Fest, was the fact that people were genuinely into the music. Like everybody was there to see their friends and make new friends. Like it was such a beautiful experience, and like I was really hoping to go back this year, but unfortunately with everything. But I'm still crossing my fingers for like in the future, because I would really love to experience it again. It was such a wonderful time.
Yeah, Toronto is definitely my favorite city that
Yeah.
we've been to. It's there.
Yeah. I remember I went to like buy some weed from a store in Canada because like our van broke down and we were just like down and out, missed a show, and it was like all the advertisement was like Snoop Dogg smokes this weed. I just remember being like, this is the best. This is like, we're in the cream of the crop, and it's clean. It's so clean up there.
Oh yeah, it's like so pretty and so like definitely one of the most beautiful places that I've been to.
Yeah, definitely.
People are just so genuinely friendly there too. It's not like in New England where everyone has a chip on their shoulder. You can walk down the street, you can just have a nice conversation with a stranger and not feel weird about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the stereotype that they're all super polite people is like actually a little true, because they're super nice.
Exactly.
For sure. Cool. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, you've been to Canada. You've done a little bit of touring, right? Do we have any like future plans? What do we think is like the future for Foxtails when it comes to like live?
Actually, we were supposed to be on tour now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
With Ultra Deluxe,
Mm-hmm.
which shout out.
Shout out to Ultra Deluxe. Yeah.
Shout out.
We love them. But yeah, no, like we were supposed to be touring like right about now. We were supposed to be like having this summer tour, but with everything that's happened, I'm really hoping like in the future, I'm not gonna pretend that I know a date or like a deadline of when this is all gonna be over, but I'm hoping that if the music industry does bounce back, if venues start reopening and stuff like that, is safer, than like we take any shows we can get, even if it's not necessarily for touring. We play one-offs in New York all the time. We play in New Jersey a lot, Massachusetts every once in a while, lots of stuff in the Northeast. So yeah, any chance we to play shows, we will, as long as all of us are free. And then also to not live stuff, we're going to be recording new material. We've been writing for like a really long time now. We have how many songs?
We have like 8, but they're not really like anywhere near ready for us to record.
Just still ironing out. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Is it keeping you guys busy, seeing as you guys can't go out on the road?
Oh, definitely. Like we actually enjoy I personally enjoy shows just as much as writing. But writing is the definitely one of the funnest parts, obviously, because like we get to keep like developing our style, we get to keep like trying out new stuff, innovating, stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely been keeping us busy. It's definitely been helping me stay out of writer's block. So
yeah, I think following our last record, this has been like the hardest time period for us in writing, because I think a part of us felt like, oh, we can't add to what we've done.
Like we can't top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of I wrote a bunch of riffs and I was like, we should use them. And we started working on songs, but then there was like a 3-month period where we didn't write or like have practice. And we got all those songs, and it's been a real struggle, but it's coming together. I think what we're writing is definitely something worth writing.
So are we expecting more instruments again? Are we going to get that big sound?
Yes.
Nice.
We have people lined up for string section and stuff.
That's awesome. And speaking of releases, your other band, Therapy Sunday, has a release coming out pretty shortly, I believe, right?
Yes, tomorrow.
So on August 6, 2020, please check out Therapy Sunday's new release. And where can we find that?
On Bandcamp. I'm going to put it on Spotify. It's on SoundCloud. And I'm looking for a label to help me out with all this. I haven't really found one yet, but who knows?
On Bandcamp, Therapy Sunday, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really different than Foxtails. It's like electronica house type stuff.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it. And now you have another project as well called Lamb.
Yes, that's me.
Awesome. What's that about?
So I've had Lamb for, ever since I was really young, actually. Like, I think my first album for Lamb was 2016, 2015. So I was around 15, 16. And it was pretty much like always like my little like solo project that I did, like little one-off songs a lot of like, because pretty much what I used to do when I was younger was I would play a lot of like guitar when I was alone and like acoustic. Like I had a classical guitar that I played around a lot with. And then I would record that and just put like a shit ton of reverb on it and like put a bunch of effects on like voice and like over it. And like sometimes I would add synths and stuff like that. But in the last EP I just came out with, Theories on Decay. It was a 4-song EP, and it's pretty much like industrial kind of mixed with electronica, mixed with very like there's like one song with the kind of old like type of instrumentation I used to do with like guitar. It's something that is really it was a bit of like it was very cathartic for me. So it was like I had just gotten out of like domestic violence. I had just gotten out of a lot of interpersonal like traumatic stuff that had happened to me. And that EP was sort of like pouring a lot of the experiences I had and a lot of the emotions that I was dealing with at the time into that album. And I'm pretty proud of it. It's something that's very like it has like a little hint of the things that I used to do, but it was very like much more refined. It was much more like a stable sound that I really think I moved into very well. So
I'm so happy to hear that you're out of that situation now. And, it's so terrible to hear that we all go through these things. And I think we're alluding to my next question. And this is kind of the big one. So why do we write music? Why does Foxtails exist?
No, you go.
You want me to go? Okay. Well, I mean, Foxtails was always like,
It's a passion project.
It's definitely a passion project.
And always has. I just, despite, and that just goes like what I was talking before, where we were struggling to write. Like, it's a passion project, so we always find our way back to it. Mm-hmm. And we have grown up with each other And it's just like, I don't want to write music with other people who aren't Megan and Mike.
Yeah, and pretty much like for me, like Foxtails for a long time, you know, when I wasn't, because Lamb was something more that I did when I was alone, and you know, I had time and I had the energy to do everything alone. But the thing is with Foxtails is that because I have John and because I have Mike, not only do like I get to like have this sort of, you know, as like as the vocalist, I'm able to sort of pour all of like my lyrical ability into it, as well as, you know, with bass, because bass was an instrument that I like a long time ago I didn't play it. I was only the vocalist, but then I started playing bass, and it was like it was nice to know that I had the ability to sort of like change like the sound that we were, you know, constructing, just like, you know, with my melodic input. And then the way that we all like interact with each other is like extremely unique, extremely efficient. And the dynamic is so wonderful. And, you know, like Foxtails over the years has always been like, whenever I would have practice, I would be like, okay, this is where I get to pour out all of my creativity, no matter how I'm feeling, no matter like what my state of mind is. I could always just turn off everything and just like pour myself into Foxtails. And that's why a lot of like my lyrical content over the years with Foxtails is really, really heavy subject matter, like, you know, dealing with abuse, dealing with trauma. And even now, like with the songs that we're currently writing, I've always wanted to go for a little bit of a more political approach, and I have been achieving that lately, just, you know, through our growth and through my personal growth as an artist as well. So Foxtails is really just like what I think, at least, is like we write about our lives and the lives of people around us and the things that we see and the things that we feel on the daily. Yeah. And so I like that. I always am so grateful for people who enjoy our music and people who feel like they have found a voice through us, because there are so many people who have said, like, you know, this album means so much to me, whether it was 3, whether it was Querida, whether it was, you know, all of any of our other releases. You know, it's like a lot of people have this like very personal attachment to our music, and I find that to be such a beautiful thing it's so wonderful to share.
Yeah, I more directly answer your question. If I'm not making art, I am suffering. So I as much art as I humanly can just to stay afloat. So that just like that derives from like my passion, and like it I have to do it. I have to make music, and it just no matter what
Keeps you going.
Yeah, it keeps me going.
Keeps you going.
I echo all that. I mean, even just going through your album to prepare for this, and your albums, I should say, that split with Algae Bloom, those lyrics, they're just so strong, and that it caught me so hard, you know. And I go back to 3 and the all of the indie thread, Scram Cave thread songs and everything. And for some reason, I don't know why, those are the ones that like stuck with me so well. And it's just such a beautiful thing for me. And seeing you live, just the passion that's there, it's just, you can tell that there's just 100% emotion and just 100% care for what you're doing. And that's what spills over to the community and you know, to our ears. And we thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Steve, what do you think? Do you have some questions?
Yes. So I have to poke fun at you guys a little bit, only for one song, for the CCR remix. So there's obviously a Fall of Troy reference.
Yes.
So let's hear how passionate you guys are about Fall of Troy, because they're awesome and they're coming out with a new album soon. Very stoked.
I heard the 2 songs they posted a couple hours ago. One is a redo of one of their songs from 30 Years War, which was interesting.
The
Fall of Troy is everything.
They're just the best.
If you knew Steve, you would know that he is shaking his head internally right now.
I'm shaking my head externally too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Fall of Troy was one of those bands that, like, when we were younger, we immediately bonded over. Like I still like remember like when we were like teenagers and we would go in the car and we would blast Doppelganger like as we were driving to various places. So like Fall of Troy was always one of those bands that was like one of our core influences that I think definitely influenced I think a lot of the franticness of our a lot of the like push pull, very like all of a sudden, very rapid,
chaotic.
Yeah, I hear those time signatures. Oh yeah, I hear the changes.
Yeah,
and the noodle riffs.
They're amazing, wonderful.
To that note, how about This Town Needs Guns? I hear some of that and some of the tapping guitar too. Was that an influence?
No, thank you. I never thought people would notice This Town Needs Guns influence in me, but it's there.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, the way he plays guitar is just so like it's like a piano. He plays like a piano. He plays it like a piano, and like I am very inspired by that. And with the tapping, I'm just because my first instrument was piano, so I sometimes am like, okay, guitar needs to evolve right now, so I'm gonna play it like a piano. That's the my ability.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I do pretty good at it. It's the whole thing with two-handed tapping is like trying to play like a more like keyboard like instrument. And so This Town Needs Guns is definitely a prime example of being able to do that.
Yeah, This Town Needs Guns is definitely like I always hear it in your guitar playing. It's definitely like such a good influence to have. And also vocally, they influenced me a lot. They were another one of the bands that we bonded over like very heavily. And when it came to vocals, I mean, like Animals is always going to be one of my favorite albums of all time. Just always going to be one of my tops. And the vocal ability that I'm so bad I don't even know Stuart. Yeah. Is that his name? I have no idea. But like, his voice, one of the things that I always admired about him was the melodic genius he was able to come up with over riffs that were just insane. Yeah. Like I always like was just like, wow, like that is a certain level of genius, like being able to come up with these crazy independent vocal melodies and not, get confused by the insanity of the other melodies that are and the harmonies that are being integrated into the songs. So definitely one of my biggest influences as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we picked out a few. So what do we think? What are our favorite artists right now?
We've both been listening to mostly like Denzel Curry,
hip
hop in general. Yeah,
lots of hip hop. Lots of for me as of late, and really, it's always been this way for me. But like, there was a long time where I was listening to more like guitar oriented music, and now I'm listening to more like electronic and like like beat based music. And hip hop is definitely one of the biggest, like just some of the artists I could name off for you is, Denzel Curry, as John said, JPEG Mafia, who is so spectacular and amazing. For
Tommy Wright the Third.
China, rest in peace. She's one of my favorite artists like of all time, and she just recently passed away, and so like I always have to shout her out, and then besides that, Tom York is a constant mood for me, and like just a lot of like I've been sort of shying away from guitar music a little more lately. It always holds a special place in my heart, and there's always like days where I'll be like, yeah, let me put on some Lloyd Snow, let me put on my fictions, let me put on some shit that I need to like bang my head to. Lately it's been more oriented towards that.
Do you think we'll see some of that in the new Foxtails stuff coming out?
subtly. I would definitely say that vocally, I always like am striving to grow vocally. So I've been experimenting a lot more with. I mean, I did it. I've done it quite a couple of times with in sort of like spoken word fashion type of thing, in some songs on some albums. But now I've been experimenting much more with like with like unique kinds of rhythms, different types of rhyme patterns, and also just like my vocal inflection and my style and how I choose to project my voice. It's definitely being influenced by the music I'm currently listening to. So
Yeah, I'm certainly, because in the past year I've gotten really into production. So I've been making all kinds of electronic music, and Therapy Sunday is what I've finally realized I should be doing. So all that electronic music influence has definitely changed my guitar playing. I think in a much more groove oriented way, and I think it's gonna show like on the next record.
Nice.
It's gonna be cool for growth, because the more influences, the better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you've shown us that you are able to access those different spectrums. So I'm super excited to see where that goes for you. So out of all of the artists that you've been, lucky enough to play with and like shared a stage with, who are like some of your like top favorites that you've performed with?
Ostraka, Shingard, For Your Health, and Respire.
For me, like I'm.
And Lord Snow.
Oh
yes.
God!
Oh, I was really hoping you'd say Lord Snow. I absolutely love Lord Snow.
There's so many bands that like I feel like I will leave out so many, but I am so grateful to have had the honor to play with half of the bands that I played with. Lord Snow has been such a huge influence for me. Like the vocalist of Lord Snow, I'm not sure of their pronouns, but they've always been a huge inspiration for me. Like since I first got into screamo, City of Caterpillar, which is like insane. Jerome's Dream, which is insane.
Wait, I forgot.
We fucking played with
yeah. And they are the nicest people.
They're so nice. Yeah.
Despite everything people have said, like, they are sweethearts, and they're just these giant human beings that are like 6'8".
They're like 6'5".
No,
are they?
They're like 6'8", 6'9".
I was like here, and then like the shortest of them was like up here. So I'm just like, oh my God. And not only them, but like oh my God, there's
Loma Prieta that show.
Loma Prieta.
Oh,
Loma Prieta, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like also Masanera, who have been our good friends for years. And it's always an honor to play with them. We've played with Nine of Swords as well, who was also like a really big influence on me when I was younger. And God, like I just feel like
I have one more, and it's from a long time ago.
Who?
We played with the Emo Side Project.
We did play with Emo Side Project. Such a long time ago, but yeah, no, like honestly, like there's so many bands who served as huge inspirations for us that we've had the honor of meeting and playing with, and I'm sure that I'm leaving out so many amazing people, but I'm grateful for everybody, really.
Yeah.
Any crazy tour stories? Any bands breakdown or?
Oh, I got a car accident our first tour. It was horrendous. It was in Baltimore, Inner Harbor, and I was so confused. And I just was like, wait, so where are the lanes? I didn't know. And I was like 18. So, and I only had my license for a couple of years, and I was driving in Baltimore, and yeah, I got a car crash, and the door basically half fell off, and we had to deal with that.
But like in Baltimore, I also drove, and I went down the wrong way in a one-way, and I was just like, I'm going to die right now. But everybody like stopped and was just like, what the fuck is this car doing going this way? And I'm just like, oh my God, thank you for stopping, thank you for stopping, thank you for stopping. And like, oh my God, there was also the 8-hour drive from Baltimore to Worcester, Massachusetts, because we planned that horribly. And when we first where we like were kind of all over the place in terms of like, there was like a lot of issues. Like we weren't really like.
Yeah, we were so unprepared for that tour, the first one. Yeah.
Really unprepared.
And we just had, like, and like it showed. No one came.
Yeah, no, and but like, you know, it was just like the experience is always worth it. You know, like I didn't care if we went out to a show and there was like 2 people there. Like I was just, so I had, you know, like it wasn't until we started touring that I really saw other parts of the United States, really. Like it wasn't really until then. And then, you know, there is also like, okay, I will talk about the Trap House. We have to talk about the Trap House because last time we went on tour, we played this venue in New Brunswick.
Yeah, New Brunswick.
In New Brunswick. And it was really nice people. Like one of our friends booked us. But like they told somebody else that we needed a show, and then that person found us the place. And it's just funny because the person that we asked like originally is I think straight edge.
Oh boy.
No, I think straight edge.
Trap House and straight edge in the same story. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So like we ended up playing this house that was like, it was like the entrance was in like on the side of the house, and then it was like half of a house for like, and then there was like a basement, and that's where the show was, and then upstairs there was just like
we're doing nitrous.
People were like doing like the whipped cream canisters and stuff, and I'm just, and you know what, like we got offered like Coke too, and I was just like,
we got offered most things.
Yo, it
was not hyperbolic. It was a trap house.
It was definitely a trap, but I thought it was dope. And I really liked it. I did end up trying the whipped cream canister. I can't say that I was very impressed with it, and I can't say that I would do it again. But that's okay. And also, I lost my grinder that day, and that it was like
peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Super fun though. We played with Entiérralos, who is a really awesome band from New Jersey. Who else did we play with?
They were just some local like.
Yeah, it was like some local New Jersey bands. The one I remember the most was Entiérralos.
Yeah, they're amazing.
They're amazing. And I wonder if they came out with their new album yet. I'm not sure, but they're a band definitely to watch out for. Like they're all Latino, and they're just like amazing people, beautiful people. And their music is like top notch. So shout out to them.
What's the style of music?
It's sort of like
post-hardcore.
Post-hardcore.
It's a very New Jersey screamo band.
Very New Jersey. Very post-hardcore, but also with a lot of Latin influence, which is really cool. Like they have a lot of like, they also have like they have hybrid lyrics, so they do sometimes have lyrics in Spanish as well as lyrics in English. And the Latin influence is very overt in their sound, and it's always like very dancey, like very. So good, like really great.
Nice. Cool. So let's see. I think we could probably do a couple more. Steve, do you have any questions?
All right. Because you guys we're music majors and we're in the school together, what can you guys think about having music education more prominent in public schools now? Because I know it's a huge issue. My nephew has only picked up the recorder for the first time this year, and he's in 5th grade.
That's not right.
All right.
Yeah, people need to be exposed to music because it's a form of language that everyone can learn pretty easily. Like it's very important for like brain development, all that. And I definitely think it should be a focus on education to have music.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, Ideally, if our education system was anywhere close to ideal, we would have arts like just prominent in our education system, not only music, but visual arts and photography, any kind of like graphic design, painting, things like that. The way that children spend, I mean, a work day in school. So to have to there are some schools where you'll get like one class of art a day, if that. And then on top of that, you have these kids who need outlets. You have these kids that need forms of expression. If art can be therapy. And there are so many kids who are denied that. There are so many kids who don't even learn how to pick up an instrument. They don't have the privilege of doing it. They're not able to find what kind of art they like best, because like really, like, art is food for the soul. So any kind of art, music, any kind of art. So just to know that kids are going into a building for a work day and they're constantly dealing with stress, like like standardized testing, like just regular curriculum in school, and having no type of outlet and not even knowing necessarily what their outlets could be. I think it's a tragedy. I think that it's unfair, and I think that it's something that should always be fought for. And I'm very grateful for the fact that I had the opportunity to go to the Regional Center for the Arts in high school, and I was able to find my niche there, because really, like, I went for music my first year, but then for the rest of my years, I actually went for creative film and photography. So I was able to discover that, not only I had like this passion for music, and I was able to find John and make connections with, Mike as well. But I was also able to figure out what other outlets I like, and, what other forms of art I could really express myself in. And I think that's an opportunity that should be given to absolutely every child in America.
And gardening. I feel like we need more gardening in public schools.
Yes, you're right. You are like, gardening is actually, I'm glad you said that, because some people like, gardening, what is that? Like, what do you mean? What do we need that for? But no, it's very
it will like help teach kids to like love nature, and that's important.
Yes, I mean it does, and it's also very kinetic. There's a lot of kids who will express themselves in that way, in a more like kinetic way. So absolutely, I'm very glad you said that, because it is also very important. Yes.
Wait, does that not happen anymore? Because when I was in kindergarten, I did plant a tree.
All right. Yeah, I don't know if it's happening more. Actually, now that you say that, my elementary school, we helped make like a nature trail kind of thing. But even at that, I wonder if they're still like making an effort to like clean it and care for it. And like, it's not just plant it and let it go.
Yeah.
Wasn't that, it was just in like the major, like the mainstream media too. There was like some rapper who I guess like got into gardening, and there's like this picture of him like watering his orchids, and he's just like, you just got to give him some attention.
Oh my God,
right?
yeah. I do know what you're talking about. Yes. I don't remember the person, but I do remember that, yes.
I love it. Cool. All right. Well, I think that about does it for us here. John and Megan, thank you again for being here. This is John and Megan of Foxtails. Please check out Foxtails, Lamb, and Therapy Sunday, who has a new release out tomorrow. And where can we find more about Foxtails?
You can find us on Foxtails with 3fs.bandcamp.com. You can find us on Sophie's Floorboard for more info. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Music. You can find us pretty much anywhere. And also our Facebook pages. All of our handles are Foxtails CT. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can always message us. We do our best to get back to everybody. And we love everybody who loves us, and we're grateful, and thank you so much for having us today.
Awesome. And if you've enjoyed this episode, check us out at musiciansandmakers.com, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Spotify. And thank you again for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Musicians and Makers Podcast. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You fucked me!